Okay, so let's dive right in. We're about to go on a tour of your child's brain, and our guide is the incredible work of Dr. Daniel Siegel and Dr. Payne Bryson from their book, The Whole Brain Child. The whole point here is to figure out how we can use those everyday moments, the good, the bad, and the chaotic, to help nurture a more balanced, resilient, and connected mind in our kids.
I mean, we've all been there, right? The endless sibling squabbles, the meltdowns in the middle of the grocery store, the battles over homework. The book just nails this feeling, describing that moment when you're wild-eyed and red-faced at the end of a birthday party. You're not thinking about character development in that moment. You're just trying to survive the next 5 minutes without losing your mind.
But here's the big, game-changing idea at the heart of this book. What if those very moments, the ones where you're just trying to hang on, are actually the most powerful opportunities to help your child thrive? The authors argue that these challenges aren't just things to get through, they are actual gifts, these crucial chances to literally build your child's brain.
So here's our game plan for this tour. We're going to look at the two-sided brain, the left and the right. Then we'll explore the upstairs and downstairs brain. And the whole time, we're going to focus on real, practical ways to connect all these parts for a more integrated and, honestly, a more resilient kid. The main idea here is actually pretty simple, but wow, is it profound. If you can just understand a few basics about the young brain you're helping to shape, you can parent so much more effectively and with a lot more compassion. It's all about getting beyond just reacting to behavior and instead actively building the brain.
So the key word, the concept that everything else hangs on, is integration. The book uses this amazing analogy of a choir. You know, each part of the brain is like a different singer with a unique voice. Integration is getting all those singers to work together to blend their voices into this beautiful, harmonious song. That's the goal, a well-integrated brain. Okay, first stop on our tour, let's look at the brain horizontally. Just picture your brain split right down the middle. We've got two very different halves, the left and the right, and they each have their own kind of personality, their own way of seeing the world.
And what's so fascinating here is how you can really see these two different personalities. The left brain? It's all about logic, order, and words. It loves putting things in a neat sequence. It's a list maker. The right brain is its polar opposite. It's all about emotion, nonverbal cues, the big picture. It feels the vibe of a situation, the meaning behind the words. It's where our gut feelings come from.
This quote just nails the difference. You know when your kid says, "But I didn't shove him, I just pushed him with my hand"? That is pure left brain letter of the law thinking. But the hurt feelings, the broken trust, the spirit of what happened, that's all being processed in the right brain. And for little kids, their entire world is dominated by that right brain reality.
So the goal, of course, is horizontal integration. We want these two sides to be partners, to talk to each other. Because when one side totally takes over, that's when you get into trouble. A right brain takeover creates what the authors call an emotional flood. You're just drowning in feelings. A left brain takeover can create an emotional desert. It's all facts and logic, but totally disconnected from what it feels like to be human.
Okay, so knowing about these two sides is one thing. But how do we actually help our kids connect them? You know, in the heat of the moment, when everything's falling apart? Well, the book gives us two incredibly powerful strategies for this.
This is the first big one: connect and redirect. Think of it like a two-step dance. Step 1, you connect with the emotional right brain. You do not lead with logic or lectures or "I told you so." You lead with empathy, a hug, a kind tone of voice. You just tune in to their feelings. And only after you've made that connection and that emotional flood starts to calm down can you move to step 2 and bring in the left brain with reason and solutions.
This brings us to the second strategy, name it to tame it. The book tells this really powerful story about a toddler who was in a scary car accident. He kept repeating "Ia-woo-woo," which was his way of saying his babysitter's name and the ambulance siren. Now, his mom didn't try to distract him. She helped him tell the story of what happened over and over. By doing that, she was helping his left brain put words in order to the scary, chaotic, right-brained experience. Telling the story literally helps calm the brain's emotional circuits.
All right, time for the second part of our tour. We've looked at the brain from left to right. Now let's look at it from bottom to top, using this brilliant metaphor: the brain as a house, with a downstairs and an upstairs. So the downstairs brain is like the first floor of the house. It handles all the basic stuff: breathing, blinking, and our most primal instincts, like fight or flight. It's also where those huge, raw emotions live, like intense anger and fear. And here's the thing, it's pretty much fully developed from the day we're born. It's our built-in survival system.
The upstairs brain is the more sophisticated second story. This is where all the higher-order thinking happens. Good decision-making, planning ahead, empathy, self-control, morality. It's the part of the brain that lets a child pause before they act, think about consequences, and consider someone else's feelings. But, and this is a huge but, I mean it's everything, the upstairs brain is under major construction throughout all of childhood and even into the teen years. It's not fully finished until the mid-20s.
So, what happens when that primitive downstairs brain gets completely overwhelmed? The authors have a perfect term for it: flipping your lid. Basically, the amygdala, the brain's watchdog, sounds an alarm. And when it does, it's like a baby gate slammed shut at the bottom of the stairs, cutting off all access to the calm, rational, problem-solving upstairs brain. In that moment, your child is neurologically incapable of being reasonable. So our job then is to help our kids build a strong mental staircase that connects the downstairs and the upstairs brain. And this brings us to probably one of the biggest challenges in all of parenting, the dreaded tantrum. Understanding this brain model gives us a completely new way to handle them.
The book explains that not all tantrums are created equal, and this is a game changer. There's a huge difference between the two types you see here. An upstairs tantrum is strategic. The child makes a decision to throw a fit to get what they want. They're still in control and could stop on a dime if you gave in. But a downstairs tantrum, that's a total meltdown. The child's lid has flipped. They are completely overwhelmed, out of control, and you cannot reason with them.
So for an upstairs tantrum, where the child is still basically in charge of their brain, your job is to teach. This is where you set a firm, clear boundary without a ton of emotion. As the book puts it, you never negotiate with a terrorist. By calmly holding the line and following through, you're teaching their developing upstairs brain that trying to manipulate you just isn't going to work.
But for a downstairs tantrum, you have to do the complete opposite. This is not a teaching moment. Why? Because their lid is flipped. The upstairs brain is offline, logic, consequences, it's all useless. Your one and only goal is connection. You use a nurturing, comforting response to soothe that primitive downstairs brain and help reopen the baby gate to their thinking mind. The teaching can happen much, much later once everyone is calm.
And one of the best ways to build that mental staircase is to just give the upstairs brain a workout. So instead of just barking orders, which can trigger the reactive downstairs brain or enrage it, we can engage the thinking upstairs brain. How? By asking questions, offering choices, even inviting a little negotiation. It gets them problem-solving instead of just reacting.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We've toured the brain from left to right and from bottom to top. The ultimate goal in all of this is to help our children build a fully integrated brain, where all these different parts can work together as a healthy, harmonious team. So let's just recap the big takeaways. At its core, this whole approach is about seeing conflict not as a problem but as an opportunity. It means remembering to always connect with that right brain emotion before you try to reason with the left. It means helping your child tell stories to make sense of their world. And it means being a kind of brain detective, figuring out if you're dealing with a strategic upstairs tantrum that needs a boundary or a flipped lid that just needs a hug. It's all about engaging, not enraging.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important thought. This whole tour, it's not just about our kids' brains, is it? We have left and right brains. We have an upstairs and a downstairs brain, and we all flip our lids sometimes. So the real question is, how can we use this same understanding to become more integrated ourselves, and in doing that, become the kind of parents we really, truly want to be?